Hi and welcome back with another tutorial video. In this video we will be looking at Zbrush materials and how we can access them, how we can manipulate them, and how we can apply multiple materials to a single subtools or multiple subtools. So we can access our materials by clicking on this material tab, and so you can see that we have all type of multiple materials, and they are divided into separate parts, which is the matcap shaders and the standard materials. So in the matcap shaders, the lighting is baked in, and they won't reflect to the environmental lighting as much as needed from them. And for the standard shader, their lighting is not baked in, and they will reflect to the environment and reflect to the lighting surfaces when we will be adding a environment texture in the background. And there is one more thing. The matcaps are slow material, so if you're experiencing some performance issues in Zbrush, you can just try switching from matcap to your basic materials as well. So as you can see, if I change my materials, my material changes on all subtools. So if I want to just like give this piece a gold material and some other pieces some different material, what I can do is just select a gold matte from here and change the color as well. And I should select this material channel, turn off my Z add and all other channels, and go to my color and fill object. And now if I change my materials, you can see that all of the subtools are getting this material changed apart from this piece here. So you can see that if I change it to just flat color, you can see that each and every subtool material changes apart from this one, because the material has been filled for this piece here. For example, if I fill the face with the skin shader, and change the material for my change my current selected material, you will see that the face material remains the same, which is the skin shader, while the rest of the material changes because they are not applied or the material channel is not filled on those subtools. So there is one more thing that which is very specific to each material, which is that if I go to material properties here and go to the modifier section, you can see that for the basic material we have this one shader, and if I click on this dots or metal shader, and you can see that we have two shaders here, and I can just turn on these shaders which are adding some specific properties to each of the channel. So you can do this, you can tweak your materials, you can add multiple shaders on top of it, and or you can copy and paste shader from one material to another. And for example, you do this by going to your material section and just selecting a double shade, and you will, for a double shade you will have these two shaders, and for a tri shader you will have this three shader on top of it, and the same goes for the quad shader. You have all these channels here, and you can tweak each and every shader here, and you can see that it's adding a different value to it. For example, I can turn on all the others of my shader, and right now I'm looking at the S1 shader, and I can just tweak the diffuse value, and you can see that it's changing the values on my material as well. I can change the specular highlight, or I can just broaden my specular highlight. You can see that the specular highlight right now is very sharp, so I can just broaden it out like this, and I can tweak the intensity of the specular curve as well. So you can see that how easily we can tweak our shaders in Zbrush, and we have all the modifiers, and we can tweak all these modifiers as well. We also have this transparency slider if we want to add transparency on some part of the mesh. We will be looking at transparency a bit later. So you can see that we have all these materials here, and for example we have this gold material added here, but I want the material to be changed when I select a different material. For example, you can see that the face is not changing material and this part is not changing material, and if I want it to change its material, what I can do right now, I can just go to my flat color mode and select this subtool, which is the face, and turn on my material channel, go to color and fill object, and you can see that the material information has been removed, and I can just switch my shader, and you can see that it has been applied to all my subtools. So for example, if I want a very specific material applied on all the subtools, what I can do, for example, if I have 100 subtools and I want a material to be applied on each and every subtool, so it would be very tedious to select each subtool and fill it. For example, right now I have almost 70 to 80 subtools. So if I want to fill a material, it would be very tedious. What I can do right now is go to my Subtool Master plugin, and click on this fill object, and I can just click tell it to just fill the material, and it will fill material on all the subtools. You can see the Zbrush is going through each and every subtool and filling up the materials. So let's skip that for now because it's taking forever. So if I change my material, you can see that it's not changing it up. For example, if I change it to gold, and you can see that on some subtool it's changing material, on other it's not. And let's have a look at some other properties. For example, let's fill it with the skin shader. Okay, so you can tweak with all these settings, and if you don't understand some of the settings, you can just hit Control and you will see a dialog box appear which will explain the slider, or you can just tweak it however you want. So for example, if you want subsurface scattering on your materials, what you can do is you can just go to your wax modifier and turn on this modifier settings. So let me just turn off my colors here, and we will see the wax modifier working. For example, let me bump up the strength, and you can see that the jello feeling of the skin, the light passing through the skin, which is the subsurface scattering. And in order to show the subsurface scattering, it should also be turned on in your render properties here, this wax preview. For example, if I turn it off, you can see that the wax preview is gone, and by turning it on, you will be able to see the subsurface scattering, and you will be able to control the strength of the scattering from this slider here. So we will be looking at mixer. It's for matcam material, which we won't be looking at for now. So let's look at the rendering tab as well. I forgot to tell you one thing. So if you want to add multiple materials on a single subtool, so how we can do that? So for example, we have this selected on our brush, and we have this filled this object with this skin shader. And for example, I want to add a multiple material on this subtool. So what I can do, I can just select this gold material. I can select this gold material, and I can just paint on my model, and you can see that it's painting this gold material on top of our skin shader. And if you want to paint some other material, and we can do this by just painting it up, and you can see right now it's looking a bit jagged here, but if you want to render it up, you will see that it will create a nice transition between both of it. So right now rendering is kind of slow, so let me turn off some setting here. Let me just reduce the number of samples for the shadows. Yeah, so it only smooths it up when they are jagged like this, for example on a lower subdivision level. In higher subdivision level the rendering won't smooth these phases out. Well, I don't know why, but it usually smooths out these materials here. So I will look it up, and if I found the problem, I will just add it in the comment section. So I just remove the material. So there is one more thing that I would like to cover in this video, which is how we can render the transparent materials in Zbrush. So for example, I want this subtool to be transparent. So what I can do is go to my display properties and turn on this BPR transparent shading, and it says that you should turn on transparent in the render properties tab. So in order for this to work, you can just click this option, this transparent option to active, and then it will show the transparency. So for example, if I render it now, you will see that it will make this subtool transparent. So you can see that it is making this portion, this subtool, transparent, and we can just tweak the properties for the transparency here. So for example, if I the surface normal factor, you can just hit Ctrl on your keyboard and it will show you the settings of what it does. So if I increase this value, you will see that it will show most of the faces on the front, the faces that are facing the camera. And if I just decrease this value, for example, let me just dock it up on the side. Yeah, so if I put it to 1, and you will see a very clear difference. So you can see the subtool is kind of weird, so it is difficult for you to see, but it's something like these are the faces that are facing towards the camera, so it's making them total white, and the rest of faces it's making them not so transparent. And if I decrease this value to 0, you will see that it's making this whole all the faces same amount, showing transparency the same amount. So it's very important how you tweak this value. And we also have this refraction and the refraction factor, and you can tweak this value and see how these values work out for you. So hope you liked the video, and see you in the next video.